Hi everyone, good evening. So before I start with the reflection, I would like to share a little bit of background to why I'm here. So I've been wanting to do this certification, the VNA certification, for a very long time because I've always had a very strong intention to speak the English language, and I wanted to speak it correctly and confidently. So that is something that is always there, right? So as a child, I had a I had my early education in the OT Convent, so which is a place where a lot of people have their dreams to go and study as a child. So that is where I had my basics. The foundation of English was built for me in OT Convent. So, however, as I progressed in my career, especially where I was interacting with clients or any native English speakers, right? So I realized that knowing English is one thing which I'm aware of, but then speaking it with clarity, accuracy, confidence, and all of this is something else. It's maybe the next level of knowing English, right? So that's when I felt that I need to revisit my basics, and uh, and I just have to truly understand the science behind the language. And that is when I came across Cambridgeveritas, and here I am today, reflecting my journey that has helped me unlearn, relearn, and grow as a communicator. I'd like to take you through my journey of from the day we started, which is the day one, where we started understanding the English, and then after we understood the language, then it had a different. It completely changed, right? The way we looked at it and everything. So this presentation is actually a reflection of the certification, the voice and accent certification journey, where we have been spending hours 20 plus hours through and through, where we try to understand both synchronous and asynchronous sessions. And the entire experience has been very insightful and a lot of practical learning as well. So just moving on. Is my slide moving? Yeah. All right. So we initially started with understanding what is IPA, the sound, what is IPA, what are sounds, and what are phonemes, and all of that. So one of the key learnings for me was understanding what is IPA. Even I did not even know what the term was. When I got to know IPA, I was like, what is IPA? I don't even know. I thought it was something else, like Indian Postal Code, like something on those lines. I did not even know like something like this was existing. But when I got to know it was International Phonetic Alphabet, and then Kish gave us the understanding or the explanation of what is IPA, which was very easy for me to remember, which is just a set of symbols that we use to describe the sounds of our English language. So that stayed in my mind, and that is how I was able to remember IPA, and I still can go ahead and talk about it to anybody else. So after understanding IPA, then we got into okay, now we know IPA. What is it? That's all. It was not like that. And after that, there was another step where we understood that there were 44 phonemes, where there were 44 sounds, and then it had 20 vowel sounds and 24 consonant sounds, and it did not end there. Again, there was another bifurcation for the vowel sounds, right? So we got to understand that the vowel sounds included 12 monothongs, which are single vowel sounds, and 8 diphthongs with a double vowel sounds. So that is when I had an understanding that it is not about spelling. It is about the sound. So initially, I always used to read words using the spelling, but then from now onwards, I'm taking a step back to understand what am I reading. Am I reading it correctly? Is it the right way to read it? Am I reading it with the sound or with the spelling? So this morning, my husband showed me a word, and he was like, "Can you read this?" Now that you're learning voice and accent, you know all the sounds and symbols, right? Why don't you read this? And I read that correctly, and he was like, "Wow, very good! Within so many days, you were able to do it." So that is how the basics is something that you've taught us. So I really like that. Just moving on. So when I talk about this, what I'm trying to say is I've got a very good basic right? So usually when we say, we hear people saying that if there is a very good a foundation for your learning, you can achieve anything, right? It's just the first step for you. So the same thing happened with me as well. So wherein I'm bringing in about the foundation. So when we started with our session, we started with SYLLABLES, and I'm a person who has a difficulty to understand or to remember the pictures or the words or the symbols. It's very difficult for me until and unless I listen to it, because I'm an auditory learner. So when I got to learn what is SYLLABLES, and it was easy for me to remember SYLLABLES. This is just one example. So like SYLLABLES, there are other areas where Kish taught us understanding certain words in a simple and easy manner, right? So um, it just did not start with SYLLABLES. Then SYLLABLES had an abbreviation to it, and then it spoke about the 6 features of pronunciation. And from there, again, we tried to understand very important concept on manner of articulation, and then the place of articulation. These were 2 things. So far, I only knew that there is something called articulation. You should articulate your thoughts. You should articulate the way you wanted to present. But I only knew it in that terms, but I did not know there was something called manner of articulation or the place of articulation, which will change the entire meaning of what you're trying to talk or what you're trying to say, right? And now that I got a very good understanding on the foundation, the basics of what we were trying to understand, then we started with Monothongs. So when it was Monothongs, I was a little reluctant to even take a look at the symbols, because I was scared inside. The symbols were a little alike, and I even doubted myself for a moment, like, will I remember all the symbols? Will I will I be able to write it in the right order? And a lot of things were there. That is when we tried, we had a lot of practice on the monophthongs. So when we start with monophthongs, it's about single vowel sounds, because it had the mono as the word in front. And then in monophthongs, we tried understanding a very beautiful sound, which is the Schwa sound, which is very commonly found in English language. And then with the Schwa sound, we were able to understand how the words are not being stressed a lot, and how do you talk light on every word. So I've heard a lot of people say English is a very light language. You don't have to stress a lot when you're talking, like how you use your regional language. So usually we have a mother tongue influence, because our regional language has a stress in most of the words. But English is not like that. You have to take it very light. And that's when the Schwa sound related to what I heard so far. And when I started learning about it, I was able to relate to what I'm learning. I really liked the text-based activities, and I have started implementing these text-based activities in my trainings that I am delivering in my organization. Likewise, the minimal. So these were some very few activities that I've just listed here, but there are a lot more activities and a lot more learnings from what you have taught us so far. And once we were done with monophthongs, you ensured that we were very clear with monophthongs, because this is the basic. You wanted us to have a clear understanding on all the 12 sounds, because if we were having a difficulty with the 12 sounds, it would have been difficult for us to understand the diphthongs, because it is a combination of these sounds in your diphthong. So until we started learning the diphthongs, I did not understand that monophthongs had such a vital role in the sounds. So thank you so much for bringing that to us. And then in diphthongs, we got to know that there were 8 double vowel sounds, which is your diphthongs. And I like the way you trained us on diphthongs, because as soon as I saw the screen with diphthongs, I like, oh my god, single symbol itself is a difficult aspect for me to remember. But then double symbols, how am I going to remember? That is what came in my mind first. I don't talk much until I'm being asked. But then after looking at all of this, I was like, oh my god, I am not going to do this, because it's going to be difficult. But then you took us through the easiest way of remembering things, which tells that how you taught from our perspective as a learner. How is it going to help them, or how is it going to be useful for them to remember things? You thought in that way, and then you taught us the diphthongs. I've taken a screenshot of this. The reason, because it had the numbers, it had the English, the pronunciation for. I mean, it had the way how you can pronounce it easily, and this was going to help me. Even though you're going to share a PPT and a PDF with us with all of this, I am going to relate to this, because this is what I've been learning for so many hours, right? So again, when we were doing the diphthongs, I liked the concept of open class drilling that you did, because not everybody will be comfortable with open class drilling, but all the participants in our team, we were feeling very comfortable when you did that activity. Again, you brought in the text-based activities, the word maze, tongue twisters. Tongue twisters are something that I always enjoy doing, even in my classes. And word maze was something new to me, and I'm definitely going to pick it from here. Once we were done with the diphthongs, then we got into the consonant sounds. So in consonant sounds, we got to understand that there were 24 consonant vowel sounds, where there is, like I said earlier, English is a very light language. So I did not know that we'll have to talk in such a way where it's more on the Schwa thingy, right? So you taught us two methods which we can always check whether we are doing it in the right way, which was the paper method and the finger method. I really like the paper method more than the finger method, so I'm definitely going to use that when I'm practicing the words and the sounds. And then you introduced another aspect of the exasperated sounds, where you brought in the concept of the movie, where it was easy for us to relate. I'm sure Bruno would have found it a little difficult to relate, but all the others, we were able to understand, okay, cut up, it's not going to go out of our minds. It's still going to be there. Anytime even if you're going to wake us up in the middle of the night and ask, I want to say that. So that is how it has been registered. Likewise, the soft th and the hard th sound. I had a difficulty understanding that. The first day I thought, okay, I understood. The second day when I was practicing, I did not know how to do that. And that is when I came to you. And you made it very easy for me. And I was able to understand how is it even being pronounced. And yesterday when we were doing the word maze activity, it really helped me, to bring that soft th and the hard th sound. And apart from all of this, we also learned about the sibilance. Like I said, sibilance is also another concept that I really enjoyed learning, because a lot of times I always have this difficulty pronouncing the sound, whether it is or is or is. So I always have that difficulty pronouncing that those words. I confuse myself whether it should it be the only a sound, or should it be or is. I just don't get that. Now that I understood the concept of sibilance, I'm just going to start focusing on this a little more. And we also learned about the word stress rules, especially with the suffixes. Like if you have a suffix, where do you stress? And if it is a noun, where do you stress? So that really helped us in working on the stress part in the words. And because if there is a change in the stress, obviously it's going to have a different meaning to the word, right? So these were things that I really learned. And apart from this, there's also one more concept which I liked, which is on the speech units. The speech units and then the intonation. These two concepts again help me understand how do we pause, and the tone, and how does it impact our communication. So these are another important concepts for us to remember. And yeah, so this is the most of what I have learned. And apart from this, these are the key takeaways that I have put in, along with a personal growth for myself. So what I'm going to, my key takeaway is that I have to pronounce the sounds correctly and just not focus on the spelling. I have to focus on the sounds. I have to have a consistent practice so that I improve more confidence when I'm talking, and the words has to come out in such a way that whatever I've learned, it should reflect on the learning. And when I am delivering my sessions, I'm going to focus on interactive teaching methods like the one that you have chosen. And I'm going to make the learning more effective for my participants. So these are things that I'm also going to focus on. And I really enjoyed all the activities that you brought in, which helped us stay alive and engaged throughout the session. So going forward, I'm going to just practice all of this regularly, and I'm going to apply IPA in my training sessions. And I'm going to use all these techniques to improve myself and my learner engagement, and the effectiveness of the session, the delivery effectiveness of the sessions as well. Yeah, and we have almost come to the end. So this certification has been more like a transformative journey for me, and it has actually improved my confidence, the teaching skills, my pronunciation, and all of that. So before I conclude, I would like to take a moment to appreciate the facilitator, Kish. So I always have a difficulty sitting and listening to sessions, right? So being a facilitator myself, I understand how difficult it can actually be for us to sit throughout a session and stay fully engaged. But the way you have designed the program and the way you've delivered it, I never felt like it was a typical training experience. I did not feel like that. So I really like the teaching style, the way you delivered the sessions, the way you interacted with the participants, the practical sessions, the engaging sessions. All of that is something that I really liked. The use of activities, the examples that you brought in, the involvement, the constant involvement that you showed to all of us made it easy for me and for everybody. And so this actually is going to help me to stay connected with the concepts that I have learned, and I'm going to make it into action every now and then that I'm going to work on it. So more importantly, my focus is going to be on application and not just on the theory, because only if I start applying things, I can feel the difference. Otherwise, I will not be able to make justice to what I've actually done so far. And that is what made my journey even more impactful for me. So this has actually truly been a transformational experience for me than just a training session. So thank you so much, Kish and everyone.